Let's go.
That most men live lives of quiet desperation. It's one of my favorite quotes ever because it's true. You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away. But I think one of the reasons why these people have this deep-seated anger and resentment is there's a bunch of people out there that have these lives that are deeply unsatisfied. Because I think there are so many people that are working all day long doing something that is deeply unsatisfying and almost painful.
Yeah, soul killing.
Soul killing. They're stuck in traffic all day, and then they're stuck in a cubicle after that. They relish the time to take a shit in the bathroom and look at their phone. I mean, they literally do that. That's a highlight of someone's day. They get in traffic on the way home. They get home after that, they're watching television. And if people have a regular day job, if you could just find some one thing that you do as a passion project and just keep building on it, just keep watering it, keep adding fertilizer, keep giving it attention, keep giving it focus, and you can escape. You can escape, and you can be self-serving. You can be okay. You're gonna be okay. For making furniture feels good. If you make furniture for a living, and you feel a great satisfaction out of that, and you sell that furniture, look, man, if you can do that, you could cut those corners perfectly and sand everything down nice and stain it, and then it's done, and you get the satisfaction, and you sell it to someone, and that pays your bills. That is infinitely more satisfying than being stuck in some cubicle working for someone that you don't want to work for, having to have these stupid office meetings, talking to people in human resources, sitting down with your supervisor where they evaluate your job performance, and you're not really, you really need to be enthusiastic about this company. This company is your future. This company, you're like, kill me now. There's a lot of people out there that would way rather do something else, and I hope they understand that they can. And people that are trapped in bad situations, one of the problems is you feel like this is your future. You feel like and you can't get out of that. There's no hope. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no rainbow. And if you feel like that, that alone can be incredibly defining and limiting. But if you can look at yourself objectively and say, okay, I kind of am here. I'm in credit card debt. I'm working in a shitty job. I don't like what I'm doing, but I have some ideas. I need to feed those fucking ideas. And I need to feed them and water them, and I need to set aside a certain amount of time every day to just try to make those things happen. You can do that. Everyone has a different personality. They have different interests, different things that they would be really satisfied pursuing. That's not encouraged. What's encouraged is go find a job. What's encouraged is go find some place that you can shove yourself into. Go find a square hole that you can stick your round peg and just jam it in there and shave down the top and the bottom so you slide in with all this extra space on the sides and feel like for the rest of your life, because you need a job, because you're in debt, because you have credit cards, because you have student loans, because that's what everybody does, and so you do it too. That's what's wrong. You have an apartment you have to pay for, you have a car you leased, you have a wife that you have to feed, you have a child you have to raise, you have your mortgage, you have your this, you have your that, and that's where it all comes from. Well, the opportunity takes place usually when you're young and you don't have any responsibility. That's when you have your options. Well, your options are severely limited the more you gather responsibilities. Like, if I had to, as a 51-year-old father of 3, married man, pays taxes, has a house and a mortgage and a business and all that jazz, if I had to quit everything now and struggle the way I struggled as a stand-up comedian, it would never work. But the only way I could be this person now is if I took that chance when I was 21, when I was dead broke and had my cars repossessed and all that stuff. That's the only way you ever get where you want to go. You have to take a path that's dangerous, and most people want to take the safe path. The safe path leaves you stuck in quiet desperation almost every time. It's hell. It's hell.
But can people just make that change? I mean,
Yes,
look,
you can,
I believe
but
in
you have to plan it out. The way you can change is you have to put aside enough money to give yourself a window. And then you have to have a plan. And you have to spend all your waking hours outside of whatever job you do planning your escape. And you have to come to the realization very clearly that you fucked up, you got yourself stuck. So whatever you're doing, you have to do it like your life depends on it. And whether it is you're trying to be an author, and if you're gonna try to be an author and you're working 8 hours a day plus commuting plus family responsibilities or whatever else you have, whatever time you have to attack like you're trying to save the world. You're trying to save your life. You don't want to drown. That 1.5 hours a day that you have to write, god damn, you better be caffeinated and motivated. You gotta go. You gotta get after it. You gotta have discipline. That's most people don't have those things. Most people don't understand what it's like to really go for something. And to know that the consequences of not doing that are horrific. I think here's an important thing too. Failure is important.
It is important.
I think failure teaches you things that you don't learn from success. I think failure gives you an opportunity for self-examination. It also gives you a feeling that is very uncomfortable. And that very uncomfortable feeling helps you grow. That when you feel like you screw something up, like when I've had bad podcasts, my podcast has always gotten better afterwards. When I've had bad stand-up sets, I've always gotten better afterwards. Because those bad sets motivate you. They give you a perspective like, hey, here's some clear examples of where you fucked up.
Yeah, what not to do.
Yeah, don't look at these failures as like proof that you suck. Look at them as opportunities for growth. Look at them as opportunities to be motivated to do better. You have to make mistakes. You've been there, you feel it, you understand what it is, and then you have that time to adjust. That's why losing in life is so important. Whether it's getting dumped, getting fired, losing a game, loss. Those feelings where things didn't work out your way, that's important because it lets you know this is the bad feeling that comes when it goes wrong and you improve, and then it makes the good feelings of victory all the better. And I mean that, in a relative sense, like even getting good at something, forget about victory. Making a terrible book that gets rejected by every publisher and then writing a really good one and people accepting like, I got better. Yes, like that's feeling.
Interesting, yeah.
Those feelings of failure are really critical for your motivation. You see an old person walking down the street, you go, oh, that person's always been an old person. No, that was a baby. That was a baby that became a 90-year-old man. There's a progression that you're not witness to. You don't see it. And that takes place in everything. It takes place in authors. It takes place in comedians and musicians. There's a starting point, and then with time and focus, and as long as you reevaluate and reassess and constantly, objectively look at what you're doing and then pursue it with passion and focus, you get better at things. Don't be scared of failure. I think failure is awesome for you. And that's one of the reasons why, like I said, I like doing things that I suck at. I just feel like people need inspiration and they need guidelines. And if as long as you could just start moving, just get action, like just movement. So for a few months, I was staying with my grandmother who was on death's door she lived like a year or so after I moved out. And she wasn't really aware of me anymore. She was not quite there anymore. And my grandfather, who was struggling to take care of her, just seemed sad. And I remember thinking, man, this life is temporary. Like this experience that I'm experiencing right now as a 24-year-old man, like this is not going to last. Like this is the prime of my youth. And it like hardened my ideas that like, you gotta get going. This is gonna happen to you too. It's gonna happen to all of us. And you think that you're this static thing, like you stay in the same exact state. It's not true. It's an illusion. All those people that you see that are old people that are walking on the street with their backs hunched over, that you're gonna reach that age someday. It's going to happen. And if you don't pay attention and it all goes wrong, you could wind up looking like that guy. You could wind up thinking and behaving like that guy. It is a slow ebbing of the life force in the body that's gonna drain you. So get your fun out. Get your life out. Just live. You gotta live. It's fucking coming. And you gotta remember, because if you don't remember, you're gonna sleep in. If you don't remember, you're not gonna get anything done. If you don't remember, you're not gonna have the same focus and determination that you would have with the understanding this is a temporary experience. Over time, I've learned that these people, you're not gonna fix them. I used to want to fix them when I was young. I used to want to go, hey man, I see what you're doing. Like, dude, don't do that anymore. Listen, just do this and stop doing that and start doing this. And if you just work towards this, you could be successful. And then a week later, the guy's doing the same shit. You're like, okay, I'm wasting a significant And it's not just inspirational in terms of financial success, but in terms of doing difficult things, whether it's running 100 miles doesn't pay you a goddamn thing other than the wealth of the knowledge that you can push yourself to such an extreme, or anything else, whether it's someone who becomes really good at playing chess, or someone who's really good at martial arts, or whatever it is. There's a great feeling in these overcoming these difficult things. I think a lot of what happiness is a management issue, and decisions that you're making right now, like you could be in a state of mind right now, but you can make some decisions to adjust that, and over the next couple hours, you'll get to a much better place.
It's good to treat other people the way you would like to be treated yourself. It's a golden rule, and there's a reason for it. And that reason is that we're connected in some strange way that we don't totally understand. And unless you are good to other people around you, unless you're kind and friendly and warm and loving, you're not going to enjoy this life. You're just not. You're going to be problems everywhere you go. You're going to have problems everywhere you go. You got to figure out a way to enjoy it. It's not because of anybody that may or may not have ever existed. It's because that's how you fit in better in the world. That's how you stay positive. And it doesn't have to be something that was written 5,000 years ago in animal skins. That doesn't have to be the golden rule because it's old. You know, that's dumb. We need to figure out now, today, what is, you know, the best way to live your life? What is the, you know, there's got to be ways where you can be putting forward the most positive energy. And we know objectively what's causing pollution. We know objectively what's causing birth defects, and you know, and we're taking in too much chemicals and not enough vitamins. We know objectively all this stuff. We know how to organize our world, and yet we don't do it. We know how to organize our health, and yet very few people do it. We know all these things. The right path to like being like a happy, healthy person is to do all the shit that we already know you're supposed to do. Take care of your body. Take care of your health. Take care of your mind, your stress. Meditate, be kind to people. We all know that. I mean, you ask anybody, they know how to get by and be the most evolved version of you that you can be. I mean, it's not like a magical checklist. You talk to people about it. You said, okay, you got a person, you want to improve them. What are the things you're going to do? Okay, well, if I was a life coach, the first thing I'd say is this guy's got to get on a diet that makes him healthy. I don't mean a diet just to lose weight. I mean just healthy foods in your body. Many, many vegetables. Start working out your body and get a better sense of like how this machine feels when it's moving, it's flowing better, there's less tension in it, your mind feels like relaxed, and you enjoy every single moment of the day better. Step one, everybody knows that step, right? What's step two? Be cool to people, be nice to as many people as you can, smile at as many people as you can, have them smile back at you, tip well when you go to restaurants, just do the most you can, be as nice as you can, and just still manage to not have people walk all over you. Just get through this life and be as nice as you can. Do what you want to do with your life, right? Don't be doing something you don't enjoy. Don't do something don't get locked into, you know, a car that you can't afford and doing something crazy because you need the money. Don't do that. Do what you want to do. Do what the fuck is it that you really want to do? Because if someone else is doing it, you can do it, you know? I mean, everybody makes their own path through this world, but a lot of people don't follow the path that they really feel pulled. You know, there's, for whatever reason, they got a negative programming. And when they were kids, someone told them to do it, or told them to take the shortcut, or take the short route. That's a sad thing. You talk to dudes, especially like talented dudes, and they don't follow up on what they do. You know, it sounds like really hippie, but true happiness comes from making other people happy. True happiness comes from being around happy people and enjoying each other's company. That's really hard for people to wrap their heads around because they always associate true happiness. No, true happiness is with like titles, you know, or you know, numbers, or you know, objects that you possess. You're not concerned about being nice to people. You're not concerned about having a positive impact on people. You're more concerned with making ones and zeros. But it really truly is how the human race interacts with each other. You really have to be nice to other people to be happy. You have to. If you're not, you won't be happy. And you know, we all make mistakes, and we all find ourselves in positions of frustration, and we've all acted out and yelled at our dog that maybe we shouldn't have. And you know, there's pressures in this life. But I think it's really important to recognize what those truly are, and to understand that at the end of it, we can alleviate a lot of how we deal with in this life if we really treated people the way we would treat them as if they were ourselves living another life. Right.
This includes the way you communicate with people, the friendships that you have, making sure your friends know that you love them. They drive you, they change your opinions, they challenge you, they show compassion, you open up to each other. I mean, this is everything in this life, is community. One of the things that's true is how much people enjoy being around you. That makes your life more enjoyable, and people don't think of it that way. They oftentimes think, I want to be the one that's enjoying life, like especially selfish people. If people enjoy being around you, you'll enjoy everything more. The solo effort of going through life, a narcissistic perspective, one of the major problems with that is there's no one to share it with, because you're all out for yourself. Even if you get there, you're gonna be filled with sadness and despair. It's not what you want. What you want is to be happy, right? Well, I know you think that you have to be all about yourself to be happy, but in fact, that is a way to ensure unhappiness regardless of success. You can have a $100 million house and a private jet. If you don't have love, you don't have anything. You're missing the key ingredient. You know, it's like having cement but not having water. You have nothing. It's just hard for people to understand that there's techniques and there's strategies and there's philosophies that can help you steer through this world with a happier life. And that is a big part of it. A big part of it is embracing love and friendship and camaraderie and being nice to people. It's hard for some people because they're not even nice to themselves. What I'm saying is the way you are with your family and your friends and your loved ones and the people you communicate with, get better at that, because we need each other. Love is the most important thing, and that sounds so cliche, but without love, it's all useless. This is a really important one, because people have this idea that somehow I'm 30 years old, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I'm 50 years old, I should have learned by now. That's all bull. Throw that away. Toss that shit aside. You, like these ideas of numbers that people have in their head, that by a certain age you should stop. You are alive. And if you are alive, and if you are thinking, all those numbers that you keep attaching, well, you know, when Einstein was 30, shut the fuck up. Stop doing that. That is a waste of your time. And stop saying to yourself, I should be better by now. I'm such a total non-helping thought. What you need to think of is life. You're living, you're alive right now, and if you've made a mistake and you're still continuing to learn and grow, that's all just data. You are not your past. You're you. You're you right now. Like the past you might have done some things you wish you hadn't done. Don't dwell on that. You learn from it, that's fine, but don't dwell. Just keep moving. Keep moving. You know, use it as fuel. Say never again. You know, I get what I did wrong, but don't think that you're that person that made those mistakes. You're the person who's learned. You know, and to have that attitude is a really important thing. And to not say, why am I doing this now? I could have been doing this my whole life. Well, you weren't, so is that gonna help?
Yeah.
You know, you gotta not think like that. You just gotta be happier doing it now. If I look back on anything I've ever done, mistakes I've ever made, paths that something that I put out that I didn't quite, maybe I just waited 3 months before I released that, or maybe I should have, re-edited that blog post a couple more times before I put it online, or those things drive me crazy. The pity things that I've done have driven me crazy, but yelling at someone I didn't have to yell at them for, or whatever. But the most important thing is always for all people to recognize that you're not who you were a year ago. You're not who you were 5 years ago. You're not who you were last week. You're who you are now, and this is the only shit you have control over. So you gotta regulate how much you dwell on regrets of the past. You really gotta be careful, because it's good to have a little. Because my regrets, whether it's things of professional nature or very few regrets friendship-wise, which is one thing that makes me very happy. But there's life is strange. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of factors happening in life. But for sure, who I am now wouldn't have happened if I didn't fuck up. If I didn't make those mistakes, I wouldn't have understand the importance of friendship and kindness. And if I hadn't been cruel at some point in my life, or someone hadn't been cruel to me, I wouldn't understand the beauty of love. I wouldn't understand the full range of it, because I hadn't felt the sting. If nobody ever punches you in the face, you don't really appreciate safety. Because a lot of people don't even understand what safety patterns because they define themselves as a or they define themselves as a person who doesn't follow through on their ideas, or a person who doesn't pursue their real interests and loves. You define yourself by that. Well, I guess I start things and I quit. No, you don't. No, you have started things and you quit, and it gives you a horrible sense of regret that's made you define yourself by that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
We all do things that we're not happy that we did, but that doesn't mean that's you. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I think people that hurt people's feelings, even if you justify it, you did something. I think that fits with your head, and it devalues you in your own eyes. You're not a hero in your own eyes. You're not someone who you respect. You're doing what you got to do to get by, but ultimately you're not respecting yourself. And I think we all have a certain amount of appreciation and respect for hero figures. We all look at the guy who never lies and always does the right thing and fucking helps everybody out. That's the John Wayne character. That's the ultimate hero. And when you look at your own life and you don't stack up, you're a thief. You stole money from your wife's purse. You don't want to smoke cigarettes. You have to. You can't do it with stress or smoke. You devalue yourself. You slowly start devaluing yourself. You look at yourself and you realize that if you were judging yourself, you would judge yourself unfavorably. If you're stealing, if you're hurting people, if you're damaging people.
100%.
So no matter who you can't pretend you're the hero of your story. You can't. You have to be the hero of your own story. And you can do that. You can be the hero of your own story that woke up today. You can be the hero of your own story that at 40 years of age stopped, got out of bed and said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm doing this differently.
100%.
I am going to figure this out, and I'm going to do it
100%.
only by my instincts and only by my morals and my ideals and my mind. And I'm going to be dead honest with myself because I'm realizing this is not going to last forever. And I'm going to be the nicest human being to everyone I meet, possibly. And I'm going to get myself in shape, and I'm going to eat healthy. And I'm going to do this because this is me now. I decide that this is me. And people have to realize that you are not your past. You are not all the times you f***ed up. You are not all the times you couldn't get it up. You are not all the times you were drunk and you threw up in someone's car. That's not you. You are the person who's learned from a great deal of experiences. If you learn correctly, if you process them correctly, you'll have a happier life.
Look, there's a lot of ways you can look at bad events. You can say a bad event is just who you are, and you just have bad events, and you're a loser, and life hates you, and God hates you, and look at that, happening to Mike again. Can't believe it. There's a lot of guys who go through life like that. And, they can say that they seek comfort in lowering the standards that they expect out of things. So when things go bad, they say, well, I fucking knew it. For them, it alleviates some concern about what's going to happen in the future, because the future is always dog shit. It's hard to be comfortable with yourself, so it's very hard to be comfortable with other people. That's why I always stress with people, you've got to accept yourself for what you've done wrong. Do your best, and also find some difficult bit to do, because that gets away a lot of the anxiety that you carry around in your body. A lot of difficult things make regular life less difficult, and that sounds so simplistic. The strain of making yourself do those things, it's very valuable. It's not just valuable like exercise and fitness and martial arts and running or whatever you're doing that's really difficult. It's not just valuable in terms of health and the way you look, but it's also valuable for your mind, maybe even more so. Because regular life can be confusing, and little things that go wrong and little problems that arise are exacerbated by the fact that you're not accustomed to dealing with hardship. So creating your own bolt is extremely valuable for you also, not just accepting the nuanced perspectives of other people, but also being able to navigate through this world with some sort of an understanding of just how complex it all is.
All good sessions come to an end. Thank you for working together. If you haven't already, please take a minute to download my app called FloatNote. It's a productivity app I created with tools I don't think you've ever seen before. A unique ADHD approach to managing thoughts, ideas, and to-do lists. Let me know what you think. See you next time. Stay focused, stay turbo.
And how weird it all is. And not being overly thrown off by every little dip in the road, pothole. to certainly define the potential for your future in a negative way. It's not self-serving, and it's not even real. You know, you put this artificial ceiling on the potential for what you're doing. If you hit a wall, okay, that just means you need to regroup and rethink. It doesn't mean that wall's there, especially when it comes to something like social media or like a podcast, something where you're putting out a piece of art, you're putting out something that you've created. There's no wall as far as like how many people are going to enjoy it or how far it's going to go. It's just, it is what it is, and if people don't like it, make it better. If they like it less, fix that. Figure out a way to do it. You can do that. And this idea that there's no way to get past the starting block today is just ludicrous. It's crazy. And it's just this poor thinking. Something's got to say. People don't hear it. They're not wasting it. Folks, it ain't about that. It ain't about the guy trying to buy a clean car when you're dirty. It's not his fault. It's you should figure out how to do it. You should figure out how to do a job that doesn't involve you walking in blood all day. And that's possible. If somebody else has done it, it doesn't mean, I don't buy the idea that, society the way it is right now, it has to be this way. Someone's always going to have to work for everything. Someone's always going to have to. I don't buy that. I think people are pretty flexible. If you look at the broad spectrum of humans and human behavior from different cultures all over the world, it's pretty obvious to me that there's a lot of different ways that people can act. We don't have to have fast food workers. We don't have to have people who work jobs. We don't have to. We just need to figure out how to restructure society so everybody somehow or another plays a part, has something to contribute, has something to share. I mean, that's what a real society is supposed to be like. I give you some coconuts, you give me some fish, we make a deal, and you do it back and forth and left and right. And when there's nothing to contribute, then you start looking, the president needs to give us jobs. We need jobs. So instead of something to contribute, you just find something to do with your time. And then it becomes about doing that, more than it becomes about finding something to contribute. So society gets wrapped around becoming a part of a machine. Society, instead of becoming a bunch of individuals that are expressing themselves in unique ways, and everybody sort of borrows and shares and sells this and you sell that, and we all sort of figure out how we can contribute into society, we got sidetracked and diverted into these boxes that they call companies and corporations. We got stuck into these containers that they call cubicles or offices, and we got forced into this system. So our time, instead of it being invested in making pottery or fixing cars or doing something where you have a passion or you have some sort of a connection to, instead of that, you've sold your life to sit in a box and work for a machine, an uncaring machine that demands productivity. It doesn't understand you. It doesn't want to understand you. It has a bunch of very strict things in order to keep the humor at a minimum in the office, just in case one of your kids says some stupid sex jokes that gets them sued. You have to give somebody $1 million. So get it together, and this is your life now. No natural behavior. Everybody's wearing clothes they don't want to wear. Everybody's showing up and doing something they don't want to do. No connection to. That's the problem with our society. And then what's the reward for all this stuff? Go home, get a big TV. Go home, you're going to get a shiny belt buckle. You're going to get a nice purse. You're going to wear shoes that you couldn't afford last week. You're going to get that dream car. And every week you're chasing down this new object. And every week you're trying to fill this hole in this sad shadow of a life that we've been left with after work. That you work 8 to whatever the hours a day plus commuting. And then you're like this. And that's your life. That's your real fucking life. All that other stuff is not your life anymore. All that other stuff is work. And most of us have committed to that. I know you've been there before, and I've been there before. And we understand that it's a trap because we got out of it. But for the people that are in it, a lot of times they don't even understand it's a trap.